Hey everyone, Caddy here, and for the last 2 weeks or so, I have been addicted to Enter the Gungeon on the Nintendo Switch. Yes, alongside all the videos I've been making and all the other brand new games I've had to try squeezing into my schedule for reviews, I somehow managed to stretch over 40 fucking hours into this game over 14 days. Up until I wrote the script, I was obsessed with this game, and I only stopped once I was comfortable I had seen enough of what the game had to offer me personally before I moved on to other things. I do not remember the last time I felt this obsessed with a game that I could just not put it down, possibly The Binding of Isaac Rebirth on my Vita, but I honestly think I prefer Gungeon after all this time. I found it more engrossing, more satisfying, and way more fucking challenging while feeling fairer, which overall led me to feel some of the highest highs and lowest lows of success and failure I've felt in a roguelike dungeon crawler ever. I'm getting ahead of myself though, here's your warning for today. Spoilers, alright, okay, nice. The first thing I love about this game is how easy it is to explain and write an intro of for this video, so thanks very much for that dodge roll. Enter the Gungeon is a bullet hell procedurally generated action game about 4 characters heading into a dungeon brimming with video game and movie references and gun puns. By starting with a basic unlimited ammo pistol and then picking up whatever character upgrades, keys, usable items and other weapons you can find, you must head deeper and deeper into each chamber of the dungeon, overcoming stronger and more hellish odds, defeating totally nuts bosses, and finally help a blacksmith create a bullet that can kill the past so that each character is able to find the gun that can kill the past and send them back in time to fix their lives before they ended up in this cesspit of a world full of adorable smiley face bullets trying to kill you. That's it, that's the game, and that's the basic gist of the story. I mean, there is a lot more detail in the overall plot with each NPC that you speak to and within the different paths of the characters you travel back to, and I found it all deliriously entertaining and imaginative despite how minimal it was. And the mystery of it and finding each unique secret boss encounter and finding out what these characters were actually like and how they talked, which you never see in the gameplay itself, was one of the many things that kept me replaying and replaying and replaying the game until I finished every single main character quest at least once. Yes, I did say replaying, because from start to end, before you get the equipment needed to craft the bullet that can kill the past, an average run within the Gungeon up to the last boss will last you about 50 minutes at most, with you needing to keep trying and trying again, learning every enemy and boss behavior and bullet pattern in order to get up to the biggest bad boss initially, the Dragon. And that's where the portability of the Switch massively helps out during those longer runs that are going well for you. There is no way to quit and save your progress whenever you want in Gungeon unless you beat a boss and exit via the red button, but that's obviously still going to take a while per floor and is not easy. So if life decides to throw shit at you at the wrong moment and you need to take a break or step away from the game, knocking the console into sleep mode and picking up wherever you want, whenever you want, inside or outside the house, is a vital feature for some of the runs you'll be able to pull off. Sadly, this is at the cost of graphical fidelity though. If you want a smooth 60 FPS of the Switch version of Gungeon with a couple of dips, you'll definitely need to run the graphics on speed mode, which doesn't look anywhere near as nice as beauty mode, which you get by default on PC or PS4 for example. But for the sake of portability, I honestly think this is the only version I'd play. The game's pixel art still looks charming as fuck and really well animated, you still have the ability to bind every different move to any button you want to on the Switch controllers, and of course you get the amazingly chunky vibration to accompany the game feel of the insane gunplay, which is another one of my favourite things about the game. It feels fantastic to just fire a bullet, let alone connect a hit or cause an explosion. The gameplay itself also massively helps in the satisfaction too, because this is a very fun game to play. Gungeon is essentially a twin-stick shooter played with the analog sticks, and you need to travel from room to room via a little map in order to look for the boss door, beat the boss, and head for the next floor. 5 floors later, you beat the game, at least initially. You can do a dodge roll through any kind of threat, fire, or bullet to give yourself extremely useful invincibility frames, and if you're truly panicking, you can use one of your very limited blanks to push enemies back and clear every bullet off of the screen. You can find and buy more of them though, don't worry. You never know what is going to come up in each room, making every branching path very exciting or even worrying, and each floor has its own shop to spend the shell casings you collect in order to upgrade your arsenal or just keep yourself alive longer. By the way, one thing I definitely prefer with this over Binding of Isaac Rebirth is that some of the rooms have teleportation pads that you can very quickly use the map to warp to. I love this feature, especially since in Isaac, once you've cleared out all the rooms, you're just walking straight back through the rooms if you want to pick up an item that you missed or something like that. So yeah, this is a lovely feature. You can just go straight to wherever you want to get to really quickly without needing to go through any empty rooms. The game is all about guns though, so how are they exactly? There are dozens and dozens of different guns, and not only are they all a joy to discover with all the different game and movie references they can all call back to, but all, and I mean all, have different ways of attacking, damages, rates of fire, reload speed, status effects, piercing effects, ranges, short-term or long-term damage. Every single gun totally changes how you play the game, and most of them don't even use conventional bullets, making it all the more fun and exciting to experiment or just try and use what you've been stuck with on your run. You can fire magic that has a chance to instantly kill an enemy to change them into a chicken, fire homing bees that swarm a chosen target and spend a few seconds gradually whittling down enemy health until they die, which is insanely great on bosses, fire cannonballs that have huge damage and bounce all over the room, fire pillows, t-shirts, light rays followed by an exploding duck hunt duck, foaming tentacle juice, guns that get more powerful if you reload them at the right time, air guitars and directional pads that fire in all 4 directions, spinning guns that fire more bullets as you fire the guns themselves. The point I'm trying to make is that the variables to the gunplay here are astronomical, and again totally change how you approach and play each room you enter depending on if you find them hidden in treasure chests or after boss fights. Despite your huge arsenal though, this does not make the game easy, because holy shit, there's a reason I've been playing for 40 plus hours and only just managed to finish every character campaign. This game is absolutely brutal. It's a bullet hell game. If you thought Binding of Isaac could get intense every so often, like me, then you will not be ready for the insane shit that Gungeon expects you to pull off all in one run, starting with only 3 hearts. It's so easy to get swarmed by enemies and projectiles if your movement and reflexes aren't up to scratch that half the time it feels like the only way out of a situation is to waste a blank or sacrifice a heart. Especially at the first, I don't know, 10 times I reached the dragon, the first final boss you face, after getting through a punishing 5 separate floors of the Gungeon with over 45 minutes of playtime on the run, to then find yourself in situations where even if you dodge successfully, you may just dodge right into another wall of bullets and lose everything because you haven't quite got how to deal with it yet is fucking soul crushing. And in fact, when I started playing the game, I could barely pass boss 1, it can get that nuts sometimes. Gungeon makes you fucking work for the rewards. But the great thing about the difficulty is that, well, with something like the Binding of Isaac, I always found that the randomized items and attack upgrades basically made or broke every playthrough I did. For me, it felt mostly down to luck, and it was the much shorter endgame runs and faster pace of the game that kind of made up for that fact. But after testing this out multiple times in Gungeon, you can go from failing against boss 1 with a fucking RPG to absolutely acing the first 2 bosses with your lowest power pistol without getting hit once. I found it way more skill-based than Isaac is, and you'd be surprised how good you can get with positioning, reloading at the right moments, and using blanks efficiently. And yes, I think the dodge roll is a massive part of this. I mean, you can't dodge in Binding of Isaac Rebirth, so if you get stuck or cornered, you're kind of fucked. In that way, much like with Cuphead or Dark Souls, yes, it's a review with a Dark Souls comparison, the difficulty is used to create a harsh and unforgiving gameplay atmosphere that'll smack you down after kicking you in the genitals, but not just because it's an unfair dick that likes to make you feel shit. It's a genuine hurdle to overcome, conditions you to play the game in specific ways so you don't blast through it without thought, and the satisfaction you feel for destroying the opposition never ever loses its effect even after the 40 hours I played with it. To be fair, that is helped alongside by the slight rolling of the dice the game does with the procedural generation of the rooms and random generation of the items and weapons. Not one run ever feels slightly the same. It's different every single time. The chest types, the amount of keys that spawn, the amount of chests that spawn actually, what's available at the shop, how much money can drop in a room, which doors are locked, which doors need to be open from the other side, thus tempting you to search the rooms nearer the end that door is, what enemies appear, even the fucking bosses are random to a degree depending on the floor that you're on. And it can feel very daunting, but the more shit you manage to do and each little bit further you manage to get with every run as you learn more about how the game works, the more shit becomes available and unlocked to potentially spawn in the next run. Once again, tempting you to come back just one more time to see what this new item or weapon could possibly do and how they feel to use. And let me tell you, once you beat the dragon for the first time and unlock the really good fucking guns, managing to then find them and completely cutting through the first bosses like butter is the absolute perfect fuck you to them for all the shit they put you through when you just begun the game. The 4 main characters you play as also have totally different starting weapon loadouts and stats. They carry different guns, passive items that exist in the background, and active items you can use to heal or attack. They have different levels of health or armor, different running speeds, different accuracy ratings, different effects to prices at shops or effects to being hurt and having their damage increased. So the amount of variables that can occur just from the basic character stats are enough to make every playthrough actually feel like that this time, there's a chance you'll fuck everyone's shit up and win the game. The layout of each dungeon changes as well to make the mystery and tension of getting through them to reach a safe haven of a shop to refill your health or ammo, or even reach the boss door that much more great. And yes, Isaac is the same kind of thing in that regard, even Rogue Legacy is similar in many ways. But the fact that most of the game is entirely possible with just skillful dodging, blank usage, aiming, and careful considerate planning, avoiding every attack from every type of enemy, staying away from oil being caught fire, using switches to cause rock slides or explosions, and doing the odd bit of platforming against bottomless pits, it all makes the game that much more fun to play despite how hard it can be. You never feel under-equipped because of how solid the foundation is, and in that sense, after you've played the game enough, that just makes getting extra guns a bonus more than a necessity, which unfortunately is how I feel when I play Isaac unless I play as Azazel, who's insanely powerful from the beginning. And by God, that's just me talking about the running, gunning, and dodging, the core of the game. There's also the other shit that can occur also totally randomly within the dungeons that make every run much easier or way more interesting. interesting. Some floors have golden keys to find that unlock golden doors where helpful NPCs are stuck, and by freeing them, you unlock them for use in the hub world, which then in turn causes more events to happen in the dungeon itself. You can find different merchants that you can order more weapons from with the currency you collect from defeated bosses, which are then available for sale in the dungeons or hidden in chests, increasing your chances of finding highly powerful items and weapons and making successful runs more possible. You can find a king that likes to reward you with a gun or item and bets you money for doing a silly task like clearing a room without dodging, taking damage, or using a pathetic pea shooter. Then there's merchants that sell things for keys, some that can give you extra curse points, changing the game even more. There's a little dude that rewards you for totally filling the map of the floor up, characters that give you bounty hunting contracts and reward you with insanely powerful guns for beating the contract, scientists that can heal you 100% if you find them just one time. And then there are other random things like pillars that you can pray to get benefits, sometimes at a cost, shooting minigames. I even accidentally found a guy that could build an elevator for me to jump to different floors by falling into the area that you spawn from at the start of each level, and even he had some quests for me to fulfill in order to unlock that ability. My point is that there is so much shit that could potentially happen, it's completely crazy. But unlike something like Isaac, again, where luck is mostly against you whether or not you get a fantastic or absolutely fucking terrible item, you won't know what it is until you pick it up, Gungeon may give you the odd stinker of a weapon or something, but it's still valuable and has uses to it. There's barely any negative items or weapons to find, making every chest opening or minigame NPC quest completion that much more fulfilling. And seeing as keys are so rare in the first place, it makes every single chest more exciting to open and makes you feel more justified in using the key on the chest in the first place, even if you get something that's not that great. Because either way, you know that you'll get something worthwhile, which then combats the balls to the wall difficulty you'll experience towards the endgame. I even love the way the bullet to kill the pass was handled, since to craft it you needed to reach the final 5th chamber with a set of items you find within secret rooms that give you just enough hints to let you know how to conquer the secrets. And then when you figure out the final secret lies deep within something that sounds very much like a dragon's skull, and so beat the fucking thing for the first time ever, grab the piece and then look for the blacksmith only to then die and lose everything, it's enough to make you fucking scream. But the game is so fun and ridiculous in its variations and satisfying challenge, it made me just want to go straight back in and try again. I mean, maybe I'd get the best fucking gun ever this time, you never know unless you try it. Other secrets within the game are handled beautifully as well, usually in the form of seemingly empty rooms that make you think that something needs to happen but you aren't sure what. These secrets are not totally impossible to figure out if you've played any game like this before, and then there are others like hidden rooms opened by using blanks, which you can figure out where these are by cracks in the wall that naturally occur via the destruction you'll naturally be doing. And like I said earlier, I accidentally fell into this hole at the beginning of the level and found the guy that can build the elevator, so that means most of the secrets aren't just random things you'll never figure out. You'll accidentally figure them out multiple times just doing what the game is built around in the first place. The same goes with the final part of the bullet being hidden in the dragon's skull. I mean, even if you couldn't figure that riddle out, why wouldn't you just shoot that fucking skull given the chance after he killed you 6 times in a row? It's subtle and smart, and the devs know how players' minds would work in this situation after you beat the fucking dragon in the first place. You want to destroy every part of it. The main bloody thing though I can say about the game that stops me from giving it my highest rating is that it's way too fucking hard for hours. Now don't get me wrong, I love difficult games, but we aren't talking Dark Souls or Cuphead kind of hard where you just learn, brush yourself down and try again. We're talking shit like this. In order for you to comfortably reach and beat the dragon for your first time, you need to have, I would say, at least 4 hearts ready to go, I reckon, and even that is a stretch if you don't know his patterns. Since you start the game with 3 hearts, you can either hope to God the RNG gives in and throws you some extra health capsules, but that's random and unfair, so how else can you get more permanent health that actually can be relied on? Oh, I don't know, by beating any boss without getting touched once? Have you seen this shit here? It's not so bad for me now, but I've played this for over 40 fucking hours. Starting out, I have no clue how the game expects you to do this utter tripe of a side quest for at least 10 hours. And that's just maybe for the first 2 bosses to get your maximum health up to 5 hearts. Then it's a case of needing to keep your hearts up for the rest of the run, reach the dragon, and then learn and somehow predict all of this utter crap he throws at you without losing all of your hearts the first go. I mean, at least with Cuphead or something, you pick the game up and just try again straight away. But with each run here being 15 minutes, what Gungeon expects you to do to make the future chambers easier for you requires absolute mastery of the gameplay. And saying that, there are some rooms that reward you with more money and health drops and armor and ammo drops by clearing each room without getting hit once as well. I mean, there's rewarding good play, and then there's not throwing your new players any bones whatsoever until they are fucking flawless. And I don't think that's reasonable whatsoever, and a huge turn-off for many people, especially when that shit I'd argue is necessary for reaching the end of the game for the first time. Luckily, this kind of thing is my jam, and I'm stubborn, so I personally kept going, but for any casual player, I don't know if I can recommend this because of that. But after all is said and done, yes, I managed to beat all 4 of the character paths, and amazingly enough on my first go. Then I managed to reach bullet hell and promptly died very quickly because, well, can you blame me, it's called bullet hell. But I can't tell you the amount of adrenaline and deep manly noises that erupted from my system when I not only managed to start getting really good at beating the dragon, I mean check this shit out here, nice, but then also beating the secret end bosses sometimes with only half a fucking heart left. Do you know how euphoric that feels? Have you any idea? Even being arse kicked by the dragon multiple times when I was so close was infuriating but invigorating. Being that close to beating him and just needing to try one more time to beat the fucker, my heart racing at 3 beats per second, which then made my first ever victory against him one of the best moments I felt from gaming, period. No joke. Here was my reaction. I felt like I truly overcame a challenge, and we aren't talking about running for a minute to a boss and trying again. We're talking every time, when you die, 45-minute runs up to the dragon and trying again. Once he was down for the first time, the game not only gave me even more insane fucking weapons that were unlocked for the next time, but it also made me feel like I could do anything, which then made repeat playthroughs with every character to reach the end of the game feel way more badass and satisfying to get through because I knew I could do it. And not many games have ever made me feel like that, especially in a generated dungeon crawler. Not Rogue Legacy, not Isaac, not Spelunky. Enter the Gungeon. And after all that said, unfortunately with some aspects of the mechanics expecting way too fucking much from early players for their own good, I'm going to give this game a 9 out of 10. It's amazing. If it's your birthday today while watching this video, happy frickin' birthday to you, and please remember to stay beautiful. Subscribe. Thank you so much for watching this review on Enter the Gungeon, everybody, and yes, I'm going to be doing God of War next. I have yet to play more than half an hour of that game. I've been playing Gungeon a bit too much. Special thanks to all the names on the screen right now that have helped support this channel via my Patreon page, which, yes, is completely optional. No one's holding a gun to your head. If you'd like to support the channel further, then that's entirely up to you. And special thanks to all the top tier supporters: Omar Matu, Basil, Patrick Ferguson, Robert Alamshire, I Have a Portal Gun, Gamer Man, Tanner Craft, Chris Ingersoll, Exopaz, Thomas Olsen, Star Eye Rolance J, I'm really sorry if I pronounced that wrong, Super Spyro Fan 2010, Daniel Leon, Jane Ives, Mitchell Reed, Adi Thornton Smith, Oblivion Rising, Noxious, Ellen Rilpley, Kirsten B, QB, Nathan Young, and Nicole Gennaro. Thank you so much, every single one of you.